All right. So first, I just want to say, welcome everybody to the webinar. Hope you guys are having a really great day. So, okay. So first, I just want to welcome everybody to the webinar. Again, this is the Jumpstart Marketing and Lead Generation program, and today, as you can see from the slides, we're going to be talking about on this webinar how to market and canvas a neighborhood to generate leads for wholesale and rehab opportunities. So what I really wanted to do and focus on today is a couple of things. Uh, you know, the big thing is I want you guys to understand how we actually go about tackling a neighborhood. And obviously, this program is meant to help walk you through all of the different steps and considerations involved in creating a marketing campaign specifically geared to those properties that are not listed on the MLS or MRIS, depending on where you're at. So these are strictly going after properties that have not been listed by an agent. So, we're going to talk today about a few different topics. One of the things that we're going to talk about is canvassing the neighborhood and breaking that whole piece down, and exactly everything that you need to do to be really effective in how you go about going after a particular neighborhood. Another topic that we're going to focus on today is going to be uh, marketing in general and split testing and how to target different areas and demographics. So the main piece on the webinar today is going to really be about marketing and canvassing within neighborhood. So we're just going to jump right in and get started. And obviously, any questions that you guys have, please feel free to go on to the Facebook page and into the Facebook group, I should say, and we will be obviously answering all of your questions right there. So, the first thing, again, we're going to be talking about understanding the neighborhood for effective canvassing. And we're also going to cover the anatomy of a marketing piece. And, this is really important. You have to, you know, every marketing piece, every good marketing piece has certain elements. So we're going to talk about what those elements are. We're also going to touch on today, I'm going to touch on split testing and also the importance of multiple touches. But again, like I said, the main piece for this webinar today is going to be understanding the neighborhood so that you can really become an effective marketer and an effective canvassing pro. So so today, here we go. So understanding the neighborhood. I call this coloring between the lines or marketing between the lines. You want to first really lay out what your boundaries are. What's the neighborhood that you're targeting? And keep in mind that at all times, and some of you I'm sure have heard this before, but 80% of the value of a home is actually in the neighborhood. So you absolutely have to understand the neighborhood. And when you're doing things like pulling comps, which we've covered in the Quick Start program, for those of you who have gone through that program, when you're pulling comps, you really want to pull within a certain radius. If you go too far out, especially in places like DC, where literally comps are block by block, there can be a dramatic change in the ARV or after repair value of a home, just one or two blocks from each other. So it's really important to understand the neighborhood, and then more importantly, to really clearly define the boundaries that you're working in within a neighborhood. All right. So for this particular marketing campaign, we are focusing on, and since you guys are coming along the ride with us, we are obviously focusing on the Lanham Seabrook, Maryland area. So I just want to talk a little bit about how we went about breaking down this particular neighborhood. We already spoke a little bit about how we chose this neighborhood, so I'm not going to spend any real time talking about that. But I do want you guys to really understand kind of the different elements that and considerations that have gone into us working in the Lanham Seabrook, Maryland area for this particular marketing campaign. Okay, so first, I want you guys to really think about choosing your palette. You're coloring in between the lines, right? So you got to really choose how you're going to attack that neighborhood. And there's a few different routes when you're doing, the kind of marketing that we're doing, which is very heavily direct marketing, direct mail marketing, and door-to-door marketing, right? So, and this is all about getting out in the field. This is not passive marketing training. So, there's really three main ways that you can go about doing this. And there's really four, which is really which is door to door, but I'm actually including that under EDDM, which is kind of the industry speak, U.S. Post Office speak for every door delivered mail. All right. And then, within that, you can also look at choosing very specific mailing routes. And you can also choose to target your list and go after specific homes or specific areas within a neighborhood. So, there's a lot just in those three main categories, and all of them have certain considerations that you need to think about. One thing that I have mentioned before, and I just want to stress again to everybody, is that marketing comes with a cost. So you really want to be able to track your costs, track your investment, so that you're able to determine what your return on investment will be, or what you could at least expect it to be. And a lot of that should dictate, if you're a smart, proactive marketer, the kind of investment you're going to put into a specific neighborhood. So, again, in a previous call, we've gone through why we chose Lanham Seabrook. So now we're going to talk about all the different things, having now chosen Lanham Seabrook, Maryland, about how we can go about going after properties and marketing and generating leads in Lanham Seabrook area. Okay, so again, EDDM, every door delivered, your mail routes, and your targeted list or lists. Okay, so first of all, again, you want to color between the lines. So you have to really clearly define your boundaries, because, uh, you know, an area can have hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of homes within one area. So you really want to clearly define kind of your box. What area are you actually within the neighborhood going to be focusing your marketing efforts on? Okay, so for us in the Lanham Seabrook area, we've chosen Good Luck Road as the northern boundary. That's a main intersection. It's a main thoroughfare there. You're up near NASA, or Goddard NASA's space development. So that's a very busy street. Our southern boundary is down here. You actually can't see it on this map, but it's just a little bit below this. Is Annapolis Road, and obviously up here near the top left corner here, this street here is Good Luck Road. And then our eastern boundary is actually Cipriano Road, which is right here where this white border actually falls. And then our western boundary is 97th Place, which is actually right along where the right side of the white border falls. Okay, so that's really important, because everything that we're now doing and all of our focus is going to be within pretty much this area here on the screen. Okay, so and if you were out in the field with us, then you saw that we broke even this down into 5 different sections to go after and to tackle to make everything manageable. All right. So let's talk about EDDM. Uh, EDDM again is every door delivered. So with every door delivered mail, it's a service from the U.S. Postal Service. You don't even have to know the names or the street addresses. You really literally simply have to identify to the post office the neighborhoods you want to target and get your printed piece to the post office, and the post office will deliver to every active address in your target area. All right. So this is really good if you just want to do one big, huge, blast. Just hit everything, within the boundaries that you've selected. Okay. So, I know a lot of marketers that do this. This is really farming an area in a big, broad sense. And this is the shotgun approach, really. You're just throwing everything out there and you're going to see what kind of hits you get. Now, if you have a big marketing budget, this is not necessarily a bad route to go. We're going to talk about the pros and cons here in a minute, but you know, it does at least allow you to, in theory, get your marketing piece, your direct mail marketing piece out to every single home in an area. There are some considerations which we're going to talk about with that. So, one of the pros, you create it, you create your marketing piece, you print your marketing piece, you send it off to the post office, and you're done. It's just going to go out, all right? So, a lot of people do choose this route when they're picking an area because, again, you never know who's going to get your piece. And for those of you that have worked with Alma and I before, then you know that we sent out a marketing piece in Capitol Heights, Maryland, some months ago, and we actually ended up someone received one of our letters in our multi-step campaign and actually referred it off to their mother who lived in a completely separate part of Maryland, and we were able to turn that into a lease option and get that under contract. And that particular lease option, the value of that lease option from that one letter was a little over $20,000 for us for that deal once it worked its way all the way through to the end. That would be the value of it. So again, every door delivered, the pros, you create the piece, you get it to the post office, and you're done. The cons. Here's something that a lot of people won't tell you about every door delivered mail is those big, huge bulk mailings. And you've seen these. They come in the mail. They say pre-sort. It says, in this case, it could say to Everett or current resident. It's very non-specific. It looks like, everything else. Here's the thing. Post office workers, and we love them. They're obviously going through some, difficult things at the moment, but these workers have hundreds of homes, 5, 6, 8, 900 homes that they have to hit any given day. So what they often will do, and there's been a lot of cases of this. This is not one of those. This kind of happens over here once in a while. They won't deliver all of that junk mail. That's a lot of stuff for them to sort. That's a lot of stuff for them to lug around, especially in the summertime or even in the wintertime when it's really cold out. And so they quite literally will often times, and I'm not saying all of them, but some post office workers on the mail routes will literally just dump the stuff in the trash or leave it somewhere where it actually doesn't end up at its intended destination. And they can do this and get away with it, shockingly, for one simple reason. It's generic mail. It's often classified as junk mail anyway, so they know that your intended target, which is the person in that home, is more than likely not going to miss it because they don't even know it's coming. So that is a really big con. I've talked to some marketers who have had the experience where, they're saying, Everett, I would easily say that sometimes 30, 40% of my mail doesn't make it sometimes to its intended target because they've actually seeded stuff just to see if the mail made it back to them. And we'll talk about seeding a little later on in this particular webinar. But So they're seeing that, oh, wait a minute, that did not come to me. So that is something to really keep in mind. Also, again, we really preach here at the New Deal multiple touches. Just doing one big blast, the likelihood of somebody seeing that piece, getting that piece, opening that piece, reading that piece, and responding to that piece after just one time, one touch, as we call them, is very, 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 very minimal. So we believe that it's very important to do multiple touches, at least 5, 6, 7 times. I recommend at least 6 to 8 touches when you're going after a particular prospect. So if you're doing every door delivered, that can get really pricey because you're paying for the creation of the marketing piece, you're creating for the materials for the marketing piece, the printing of that marketing piece, and the postage to every single door in a particular area. So that can really add up fast. So that is something to consider when you're doing every door delivered mail. All right. So then, the other thing that you can do is mail routes. Now, I actually think going after mail routes when you're doing your every door delivered mail, because you're going to have to be a little more specific to the post office. So, mail routes, and as you can see here, these maps on the left are actually mail routes. Every single color coded space here is a mailman's route in the Lanham Seabrook area. Okay. So you can see that some of them are broken up in really interesting ways, but they're doing that because that is how the post office actually breaks down the mail, so that a particular postman will always get your mail to you. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more in a second, but you're going to want to choose your target route, and you really want to be smart about this. You don't just want to say, I'm just going to take the salmon colored route here on the right, or I'm going to take this, green route down here. There's actually some thought that you want to put into this because, again, you're making an investment, and that investment, should really be determined by your expected return on your investment. Okay, so you're going to want to choose your target route, and I'm going to show you the route that for our act, because as you guys know, we are actually not just doing door to door mail here, but in our 8 touch marketing campaign, we're actually doing some targeted mailings to specific mail routes, and we're doing an EDDM in those particular routes. So we're going to talk about one of those routes that we're focusing on for this campaign in the Lanham Seabrook area in a second. But another reason that you really want to be clear about the targeted route that you've chosen is because each route has a different amount of homes in that area. And since in this particular marketing campaign, we're only focused on single family homes or small multi unit homes, small commercial properties, 2 to 4, 6 units max. You don't want to pick an area where you may actually have a ton of apartment buildings. That is not really going to get you the kind of return that you're looking for on your marketing investment, right? Okay. So another thing when you're choosing to do EDDM with the post office, you also want to consider, in this particular case, for this type of marketing, not for all types of marketing, for some of my other marketing clients that I do marketing for, we would do this, but in this particular case, for going after off-market properties, specific single-family residential properties, I'm going to tell you right now that you should be sure to exclude businesses from your EDDM, and you actually do get that choice with the post office. You want to be clear with them about what you're doing, because you don't want to spend a lot of money sending your marketing pieces to Joe's Pizzeria, because Joe's Pizzeria is probably the person that gets that mail, probably not going to sell you the building to Joe's Pizzeria. Now there is actually a completely different way of marketing a focus where something like that might work, but we're not talking about that today. So you do want to be really clear about your target mailing route, and you want to know how many houses are in there because that's going to tell you how much postage you're going to be spending. And as we know, postage does go up. So as a good conscientious business person, you're going to want to know what your expected cost is going to be, because again, you're going to be doing, because we're good, smart, proactive marketers, we're going to be doing multiple touches, right? So just be clear on the number, be clear on the route, and be sure to exclude businesses, because that's going to save you money. You don't need to spend time mailing to a business that is not going to be your ideal prospect. Okay, so the mail route. You're going to pick your mail route, you're going to know your counts, and then you're going to try to exclude as much as possible mail routes that have a lot of apartment buildings, because you don't actually get, when you're doing EDDM, you cannot exclude apartment buildings from your EDDM. So if you pick a place here, and as you can see here on the bottom left-hand corner, we're going to look at this a little closer in a moment. This is actually broken down into number of homes and apartment buildings. So you're going to want to exclude mail routes that have a lot of apartment buildings, because that is, again, going to not be targeting your ideal prospect. And at all times, when you're marketing, you want to get in front of your ideal prospect, not just everybody. Okay, so let's just take a moment here and go into a little more detail on this mail route map, okay? So as you can see here, this whole area is part of the mail routes for the Lanham Seabrook area. You can see here on the left that this is 495 coming down here, and our actual border is Cipriano, which is just that. This is our eastern border again. It's just left of center of the screen here. But one of the areas that we're targeting in this marketing campaign is what is listed here. The mail route is tagged or labeled as 06C10. You can see this blue area here. This is all one mail route that a mail carrier is going to be in charge or tasked with delivering mail to. So if we choose to do an EDDM with the mail carrier or the U.S. Postal Service, then we're actually going to pick very specific areas and tell them to go after those areas, okay? So we're actually doing a couple of different areas, a couple of different routes, but I'm just going to focus in for the purposes of this particular webinar, this one light blue area here, which is 06C10. And I just want to show you why we actually chose this particular mail route as one of the mail routes to invest in with our every door delivered mail. Okay, so let me just scroll down here real quick. All right, so this is a detail of all of the mail routes. Okay, so you can see to the left here is the zip codes, and this is the 20706 zip code area. Directly beside that is the particular route. Okay, so as you can see, we were doing C010, which is right here. Okay, so that obviously is the Lanham area. And the number of homes in that particular mail route is 383. Now, that means that we are going to be going after that particular mail route, and that we're going to be paying postage, not including the creation of the marketing piece and the printing of that piece, on 383 active homes in that particular area. All right, and we're going to be doing that multiple times, right? So in this particular case, we're going to be going after these particular homes in that route with our EDDM, not including the other mailings that we're doing. We're going to be doing that 4 times, which would come out to 383 multiplied by 4, 1,532 pieces of postage that we are paying on going after that particular mail route. And we're simply getting that number by taking 383 and multiplying it by the 4 times that we're going to be doing U.S. Postal Service hits to that particular mail route. So obviously that means that's 1,532 times that we are printing a piece and 1,532 pieces of individual postage that we're paying for. But if you notice here, obviously it says apartments at the top. There are 0 apartments and apartment buildings in this area, which means that we're really going to get, in this particular case, some real bang for our buck here, because we're not going to be spending unneeded money going after an unideal prospect, because there are 0 apartments. So every single one of the mail pieces going to this area is going to be going to a single family home, which is really smart for us. Also, if you look here, you'll see that the average income in this particular mail route, and this is the 06C10 mail route here, is $82,059, and the average home value here is $175,214. Now, you want to be a little bit careful about the home values. There's other ways that you can go about making sure that you're getting an accurate home value or ARV essentially in your particular area, but this isn't too far off, right? And the average age of the home, as you can see on the far right here, is 54. Now, I really like the numbers that we're seeing here in this particular area, right? This is a really great mail route for us because we've got 383 homes. The average income of those homes is $82,059. The home value is very nicely high. It falls well within our criteria, and we'll talk about that momentarily. And the age of the house is 54. So at this point, these homes are in need, more than likely, of some repair. You also may have some homeowners who have lived there for a while and for various reasons are ready to move on or possibly looking to sell. And repairs on the home of a 54-year-old home can really start to rack up. So these actually give us some very positive numbers and a very good reason to go after this particular area. Okay, so that is the mail routes, as you can see, and that is how we were able to, or why we strategically chose this light blue area 06C10 in Lanham Seabrook as one of our target areas for our EDDM. Okay, so now that we've chosen the area, and I think that that's really, really important for everybody to understand. Let's talk about something that's really important. Marketing is all about strategy. Smart marketing is all about controlling your costs, really understanding, how much you're going to invest versus how much you can expect to get out of a home. Now, in this particular Lanham Seabrook area, we are looking at for getting a property under our control, and with the idea of wholesaling it, we are looking at, when negotiated properly, which is a completely different program here, but when negotiated properly, we can expect, based on the numbers in this area, to be able to net for a wholesale fee anywhere from the 10,000 on the very low end to 30-ish thousand on the high end. 35,000 on the high end is a pretty good number here. So knowing that, we are going to strategically go after this area and wisely invest in this area, because we know that we can expect on the low end to get at least $10,000 for a wholesale fee if we choose to wholesale any of the properties that we end up closing in this area. Okay, so you really want to be strategic. You want to make sure that you're getting that bang for your buck. I've known way too many people to invest lots of money, either doing it themselves or hiring companies to do the marketing for them. And they're not smart about how they're spending their dollars or their pennies, and you really have to count your pennies. And they end up spending way too much, and they don't even realize that they're working in an area where it's extremely competitive. They've got multiple people in that area going after all of the homes, and they're spending way more in marketing than they could expect to get back on a property. So you just really want to be smart about that. And at some point, we might actually talk about in a separate webinar the different ways that you can work a lead that comes in. But we're not going to talk about that in the marketing and lead generation segment. Okay, so every door delivered. Now, this is different than the U.S. Post Office's version of EDDM. This is, I call canvassing, literally getting out there, putting on some comfy shoes, and something I really love to do, and just getting out and going door to door. I call that my version of EDDM. Because it's really, I guess, EDKM, every door knocked mail, because we go to each and every door, we knock on the doors, and we get in the faces. I really strongly recommend that you guys do this. I know a lot of people are, for various reasons, afraid to just go door to door knocking. Maybe you think that you're going to be intruding on someone, or maybe you're just afraid to talk to people, or it's cold out or it's hot out, whatever it is. Door to door sales, that face to face interaction, when someone can look you in the eye and understand who you are and what you are about, it just trumps everything, guys. You still want to do the marketing pieces. You still want to put out the postcards and the sales letters and the yellow letters and the bandit signs and all those things. It's very important. You want to send it. You want to mail it, but there is just something to going door to door. And the most effective people I know who are getting really big wholesale deal checks and finding phenomenal properties for them to, hold, rehab, flip, whatever they're going to do, are really coming from them or their partner or a team member of theirs getting out there, or a bird dog getting out there in the field and talking to the neighbors, getting to know the neighborhood. And again, the advantages of this is that personal interaction and connection. I can't tell you how many times I have a client right now, and just the personal interaction, that face to face time that she has with her clients, she's been able to get deals done where other people have come and offered more money for the properties, but just that face to face time that she committed to with her with her client in this case, they'd say no. One particular case I'm thinking of, the older woman said, no, 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 no. I understand, to this other person who wanted to buy the property, I understand that you want to buy it and that you're willing to pay me more, but I know this person. She's been to my house. I want to do the deal with her. So, that personal one-to-one interaction goes a long ways. And that's not just, in wholesaling or rehabbing and marketing. That's just across the board in life. Another great thing about knocking on every door, canvassing, doing the EDKM as I'm calling it, is you get your ear to the ground. You really start to see the neighborhood. You start to understand the neighborhood. Every single neighborhood has a certain kind of vibe to it, a certain energy, a certain rhythm, and it changes morning to noon to night. And when you're out there in it, you really start to get a feel for the people, for the way they interact, for the way to approach people. People start to see you. They start to realize that you're not just foreign. You're there to do good, and you can let everybody know you're there. You're interested in beautifying the neighborhood. You're interested in finding out about any properties or anyone who may be interested for any reason in selling their homes because you are committed to fixing up homes, which will greatly increase the value of the neighborhood. And everybody wants the value of their homes to go up. And if you have one ugly eyesore house in a neighborhood, that can really impact the ARV of your own home. So people really care about that, and people really do respond to that kind of, to that way of interacting with them, because everybody wants their home to be worth as much as possible. You're also creating familiarity. There have been many times where we've been out in the field and someone says, "Oh, well, I'm not looking to sell my home, but so and so across the street or down the street, they're definitely looking to to sell their home, or my neighbors up the road there are getting divorced and I know that they're going to have to be selling." Getting your ear to the ground and creating that familiarity, people will start to notice you and they'll start to point you out. And what often actually happens is people will recognize you and they'll be waiting at the door to talk to you. "Oh, hey, Everett. By the way, you were here last week or 2 weeks ago, and I actually just spoke to so and so, and they're actually interested in selling their house. Would you like to talk to them, or go to this house? So here's the number. They're expecting your call." So again, that getting out there, knocking on doors, that is just one of my favorite ways to talk to people, and having a marketing piece to give to them, to leave, to put in their hands, or to just leave at the door. That really just goes a long ways. Another pro is that by doing this, you actually end up saving quite a bit of money because, again, 383 homes hit with through the U.S. Postal Service 4 times at 1,523 times. You're spending quite a lot of money in postage, but knocking on a door, you're saving money, which is great. The con is, in this particular case, for some people, this can be too great. The con is it does cost you time. But I strongly believe that what you lose in time, you make up for in quality. You make up for in the connectiveness that you get to the neighborhood and to the people in that neighborhood. So again, I strongly suggest, hitting the neighborhoods. If you're going to do a 6, 7, 8 step, 8 touch marketing campaign, at least get out there in the field, half of the time. It's really the only way that you're going to get to know a neighborhood. Otherwise, it's just stats on a page. And the only time those statistics, those numbers really come to life is when you're out there and you're looking around and you're knocking on a door and you understand what's going on block to block to block. One thing we found being out in the neighborhood in Lanham Seabrook is that above Lanham Severn Road there, above there, what you actually see is that there is a neighborhood watch, and they actually roam in groups of 3 their particular part of the neighborhood. And they are really picky, and they don't particularly like bandit signs being put out in that neck of the woods. But talking to them, once they realized why we were there to beautify the neighborhood, and we were looking for any homes that may be in distress, falling down, or in need of repair, that could use a total makeover. Because you use it as a way to help make over the neighborhood and increase the home values in that neighborhood, they became much more willing to work with us and not giving us the evil eye as they were doing. But we did not know that, and we really wouldn't have known that they had an actual active neighborhood watch consistently, constantly, daily, patrolling the area. So that was something really good for us to know. We also found out that below Lanham Severn, they do not have such an active neighborhood watch, and our signs had much more longevity there. So that is something to really think about. Getting out there in the field, getting your marketing pieces door to door yourself with your partner, your team, etc. If you have kids, I strongly recommend, if they're teenagers, uh, giving them some marketing materials, and before you guys go do the family Saturday fun day, just getting out there for an hour or so and knocking on some doors in your particular area. It's just a really wonderful thing. Can't stress it enough. Okay, so the next thing is targeting. So you really want to understand, guys, what your ideal prospect is, right? So not every home is equal, and some homes are just not going to work if you're wholesaling it, and even if you're rehabbing it, the deal isn't going to work. So now we're moving away from just going after every single door, and we're talking about targeting. So first, you have to really pick your criteria. So in the Lanham Seabrook area, for us, for this particular uh, marketing campaign, our ARV, our after repair value, is homes that are 300K or less. We really don't want to go beyond that in this particular case. We also want homes with an LTV of 50% or more, which means the loan to value. We want the loan to the value of the house to be 50% or more, right? We want to make sure that we're falling within that range. Also, first mortgage. Ideally, we'd like the first mortgage to be under 250K. And if they have a second mortgage, and we actually, in this particular case, having a second mortgage is not bad for us for the particular strategy that we're using. No more than 100K, if and less is better, because in this particular case, what we would want to do is to try and negotiate that second mortgage down, depending on the some other parameters. But we're not going to go into all those details because this is about marketing and targeting. But we are really specific about the kinds of houses that we're looking for and the age of the house. We want homes that are 20 years or older. We want a home that actually needs some work, that we can go after, that's going to be attractive to either us rehabbing or to other cash buyers that we work with. Okay, so we really are going after that criteria. And here's the thing: when we are going after these homes, we're going to be sending specific types of marketing pieces to those homes, which means that we are literally targeting marketing pieces to very specific homes. 123 Main Street, 129 Main Street, 135 Main Street, with and skipping everything else in between. Okay, so we build lists for those kinds of things, and we go after those particular kinds of homes. There's lots of ways that you can actually target, and really hone in on the types of homes for your criteria. You can go after pre-foreclosure homes. Now, you want to be really careful and very aware of the laws wherever you are. In Maryland, there is a very clearly defined window that an investor can go after a home if it's in pre-foreclosure. And if you fall outside of that window, you are in violation of PIFA, the Protection of Homeowners Act. You just don't get yourself involved in that. So you want to be really clear about the laws in your particular area. You do not have that issue if you go to Virginia, at least right now, as of this recording. So, you really just want to be aware. Every single city area is made different. All right. So you just want to be aware of the laws. But you can target homes that are in pre-foreclosure, homes that are in foreclosure. If you're an investor, you're not going to be going after those foreclosed homes off market. You can go after an REO property as an investor, real estate owned property, which means the bank has now vested control of the property, owns it, and is now trying to get rid of it. That's different than going after the homeowner. At least in Maryland, that's really important to know. You can go after homes that have liens on them. That's really important to know. You can also go after absentee owners. You can go after homes that are in probate. Someone has died, the estate is being settled, and other things. homes that are in violation of some kind of city ordinance. Those things can add up fast and get out of control. And I've seen homes go for next to nothing because the people just didn't pay the fines. So you can go after all this stuff. You can research it. Almost all of it is public record, which makes it very easy for you to get the information. We're going to talk a little bit about getting access to that information, and when you're collecting lists, how you should really go about picking and choosing the lists, and how they get built. All right, so let's talk about list buying. When you're buying a list from a company, it's very, very important to be specific. You absolutely want to know what your criteria is and why you're choosing that criteria, because there are hundreds or thousands of pieces of information that you can buy, and they can get very expensive. The more general the criteria, the cheaper it is to buy the list. The more specific the criteria, obviously, the more expensive the list can become. And I mean, you can get very specific when targeting and buying a list. You probably wouldn't do it for buying a home or for as a real estate investor, but this is something that you might do as a real estate agent. You could target homes that have a either single parent or are co-parented, and where the couples make $250,000 or more a year, in the home, where they have at least one dog, and homes where all the families have twins. And maybe you're a real estate agent with twins or a real estate agent with a dog, so you want to go after homeowners who actually have pets, and your whole marketing campaign is going to be about the fact that you understand their particular needs. You understand that if it's twins, that either having two different bathrooms or a Jack and Jill bathroom, so that both twins can have their own space and not feel like they're just being grouped together all the time, could be important. Or go after homeowners who have large dogs or pets. You can buy that list, right? And you can buy and you can then target them and say, hey, as a pet owner myself, I understand the needs of homeowners with pets, and that you need to live in neighborhoods that are pet friendly, that have dog parks, that have accessible walking trails or biking trails and the like, and then, really target them specifically. I mean, you can be as specific as you want with these lists, which I love as a marketer, but again, the more specific the list, the more expensive the list. So you really want to be clear about what it is. And again, you always want to be measuring investment versus potential return on investment. And you want to be able to track what your investment is, so that you are able to then turn around and know how much you actually made. All right. So another thing to keep in mind, though, is that not all lists are created equal. Guys, this is a really important point. I've seen people get really burnt by doing this. Sometimes you buy a list and you're going after a specific thing, but what you don't know is that list has been passed around for years, and the people on that list are exhausted, hearing the same types of marketing messages from the same types of people. So you want to know about that. And you also want to know that your list that you're buying is up to date and scrubbed at least every 30 days, at least every 60 days, if not every 30 days. You want that list scrubbed, because again, every time you invest in a prospect, you're investing money, real cash dollars. So you don't want a list where the information is old, outdated, or completely has nothing to do with what you're looking for. So you also want to be aware of something that I think a lot of people, especially just starting, aren't aware of, or they miss, is that generally when you buy a list, you're buying that list for a certain number of uses, whether it's one time or two or three or four or five times. You're actually essentially licensing the names and the data on that list for a specific amount of time. Sometimes you get it for an unlimited amount of time, but more often than not, you're actually buying the list for a certain number of uses. And you want to be a person of your word and make sure that you actually only use that list that number of times. Now, any reputable list company actually seeds those lists. And seeding a list means that they're going to put in, if you buy 600 names or 1,000 pieces of data, within that, specific amount, they're actually going to seed it with information, names, addresses that they are tracking so that they know that if you purchase the list used from them for 3 times, if you mail to them 4 times or 5 times, they're going to know it and they're going to be able to find you in violation of essentially the license, and there are penalties that go with that. You're breaking the contract with them, and you don't want to do that. You want to be a person of your word. You want people to want to work with you. So really just be clear of that so that you're not surprised, because oftentimes I think that people just aren't aware that they didn't buy the list forever. They can't just mark it to Mr. and Mrs. Smith, every single day of the week. All right. So that is something to really think about. So again, you really, really want to be sure that you are being really smart about how you're canvassing a neighborhood. You want to know, are you going to, what's your palette going to be? Are you going to just do every door delivered and just hit every single house in the neighborhood? Are you going to go door to door in that neighborhood? Are you going to choose specific mailing routes? Or are you going to buy a list and go after just the homes that fit your specific criteria in that list? And obviously keep in mind that the cost of mailing to specific homes is more than the cost of doing every single house. The cost per hit is going to be more. So, again, that is just something to be aware of when you're out there doing your canvassing. So that is really the heart of what I wanted to talk to you guys about on this particular Jumpstart call. I am going to just touch on a couple of other things just because, this is a marketing and lead generation class, but we're going to be expanding on this topic in another piece. So I'm just going to, because we're coming up here on almost an hour, I'm going to just touch on this last piece here, which is the anatomy of a marketing piece. And there's really 4 main core elements of any marketing piece. They've got to have these 4 things. If they don't, you're setting yourself up for failure. All right, guys. So the first thing is the headline. All right. This is the first thing that they see. This should be captivating. It should immediately grab the attention of your prospect right away. It should be a bold headline. You want to cut right to the chase. And I'll tell you, if you know me personally, then you know I'm a very polite guy. My mom raised me that way. But sometimes being polite will get you sent straight to the trash pile. You want to get right in your prospect's face. You want to, in that headline, grab them and hold them because you don't have a lot of time. People are busy. They've got things going on. They've got a pile of mail, and a lot of it's bills, and the kids are running around and the dog's knocked over the Kool-Aid, and next thing you know, if you did not grab them with your headline, they may never ever finish your piece and never get to the actual body of the email or of your marketing piece, right? So when you're writing the copy of your marketing piece, which is the body, you want to start with the conversation that's already happening in their heads. This is really important, right? You see this a lot. You see this especially with infomercials. Are you tired of not being able to hang up your hangers, or of your closet being cluttered, or your clothes slipping off of the hangers in your, like get right to, and the person goes, and you sit there and you go, yeah, I am tired of my clothes slipping off the hanger. You want to go right to the conversation already happening in their heads and immediately identify what is their problem? What is the thing that is the real issue for them? Once you've identified that issue, and you should identify it immediately, you want to press the point. Are you really tired in the morning when you're trying to get out really fast to get to work, that you go to grab a shirt and it just falls onto the floor and now it's wrinkled and you can't wear it? Yeah, I am really tired of that. And then you want to really press the pain. And is the fact that your clothes, the hangers in your closet really suck, such an annoyance because now you've wasted 5-10 minutes just trying to figure out what you're going to wear and getting dressed, that, and you can't find anything in your closet, that you end up being late to work 2-3 times a week. You're pressing the pain point. Now, obviously, this is a terrible example, but you really want to identify the problem, identify the issue immediately, press the point, and then really, really press the pain. Just make it so painful. Make them go, my gosh, I really, really, really hate how awful and crappy and cluttered my closet is. All right. So then the next thing you want to do in the body with your copy is you want to solve the problem. And how are you going to solve the problem is pivotal to the marketing piece. You really want to know how you're going to solve it, and you want to give them the solution. And you want to be really clear about what that solution is. If it's an infomercial, it's almost always call 1-800-12345-678 right now. Take care of your problem right now with our ultra sleek, multifaceted, non-slip ever, hangers. And then you want to reiterate the solution. Again, our hangers are so good that you're going to save an extra 5 to 10 minutes in the morning getting dressed. Never ever have a piece of clothing fall off the hanger again. And then you want to distinguish yourself. I usually do this by, figuring out what is it that makes you unique, or offering a guarantee. All right. And guarantees are really important. Again, going back to an infomercial, it's always 100% money back guarantee, no questions asked. So that's something really important. And then in your copy, in the body of your mail piece, don't be boring. I cannot tell you how many times I've had, I've gotten marketing pieces. I've had clients give me marketing piece ideas, or show me what they've been using. And then I go, what is this? I am falling asleep and I haven't even gotten halfway into the second sentence. So don't be boring. Rule number one, really, just don't be boring and be creative. A lot of people want to play it safe. They want to be polite. They want to kind of fly under the radar. And the point of marketing and lead generation is to get the person to take the next step. Okay? It's always about that. It's to get the lead. You're not necessarily closing the deal in the marketing piece. You're just trying to get them to the next step so that you have the opportunity to close them, on whatever the deal is or whatever the offer is. So with that said, you also have to know what the offer is. All right. This is another key component. And often I've seen marketing pieces that have no offer at all. You want a solid offer. What is the offer? Again, if it's the infomercial hanger or closet organizer, the offer is going to be, call right now and you're going to get, 2 for 1. You'll get 2. Buy 1, get 2 free if you call right now, right? So what is the actual offer? What is it that you are offering your prospects? In the particular case of real estate investing and going after these homes, you are more than likely offering them cash for their house or some kind of creative way to, buy the house from them so that they get money and you get the home. And you do not want to overcomplicate this, right? This stuff should be super simple. People don't want to read, some ultra complicated thing. Just what is it? Just get really clear about what it is. Can they see it clearly as well? All right. Where's the offer positioned in the marketing piece? Does it stand out? If you just have someone that's a scanner that's just scanning the piece, are they going to be able to see what the offer is? I'll buy your house in 48 hours, or call now and I'll buy your house today. What's the offer? And is it something your prospect wants? Not everybody wants what you're selling. So when you're targeting your list or targeting your prospect or targeting a particular neighborhood, you really want to know that the offer that you are presenting is something that more than likely your prospects actually are going to have some interest in. All right. And then the last thing, really, their core element is your call to action. You have to have a clear call to action. You've got to tell them what to do, why they need to do it, and you got to get them to do it now. Okay? Again, hanger infomercial. It's always going to be so, call right now. You don't ask. You never want to ask them to do something. Well, if you don't mind, after you've read this, if you would feel free to maybe, if you get a moment, pick up the phone. No, 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 no. Tell them exactly what to do. Call now. Stop what you're doing right now and listen to this, then dial this number or go to this website. They've got to really know what to do. You're trying to herd them. You're trying to move them toward taking the next step. And you want to repeat your call to action. I recommend at least repeating it 2, if not 3 or more times. Tell them what to do and speak again in definitive action. Act now. Call now. Try it today. And you want to create urgency. If you call right now, we'll throw in a second set of hangers, non-slip hangers, absolutely free, but only for the next 10 callers or only for the duration of this 30-second or 60-second commercial. There always has to be a sense of urgency or a deadline, okay? And then again, we're going to touch on this, all of this in another webinar in a little more detail. So I'm just going to fly through this real quick. Split testing. Why should you do it? Not all messages, not all pieces resonate with everyone. And you really want to find out what works. What you think might work might not be the thing that actually works best in the field. And sometimes it can be as simple as changing out, and maybe you're going after suburban housewives in a particular area, and maybe you find that you're going to use the exact same message, so you're testing the message, but you might want to change up the form, the look, or the delivery. And maybe it's something as simple as changing the mom pictured in your mail piece from being a brunette to being a blonde or being a redhead, and seeing which one you get a better hit on. So that's really split testing in its most basic form. You're just trying out different things, small, minor adjustments generally, and sometimes entirely different pieces, just to see what's going to capture the attention of your prospect and get them to take the next step and to raise their hand and say, I actually have some interest in what it is you're offering. All right. And split testing. As you can see in the campaign, we actually did 3 separate split tests. I just did an A and B here, but we have one, which is A, which is all about really pushing the value of the home and getting them to know that if they have an interest in the value of the homes in the area that are selling, and they want to know what they would need to do to have their home sell higher, then they need to go after, then this would appeal to those types of people. We're positioning ourselves in A as an expert who understands the area. We're giving them very clear, specific stats. 27 homes sold in your area. 9 of those homes were sold at market value. 18 homes were sold below market value. That means 66% of houses in your area sold below market value in your area. Want to know the 3 things the homes sold at market value had in common and what that means for you? There's going to be some people that just want to know that fact, and that gives you the ability for them to raise their hands and say, hey, tell me, what is it? And now they're going to pick up the phone and they're going to call you, all right? And split test B, this is all about, and again, this is just creative, it's wacky, it's got a headline, is your house your headache? And then we immediately go right into the conversation in their head. stressed by the endless repairs? Is your mortgage out of control? On and on and on. We identify the pain points immediately, and we just keep turning those pain points. And if you see here, there's actually one, two, three, four call to actions in this particular piece. So, we're really hitting home what it is. We want them to really, see that sense of urgency. They have to call now. And, here's the split test again. In this, we're basically offering them, in split test A, we're offering them a neighborhood report. Know what the market value is in the homes, what's going in your neighborhood. In B, we're going after it a different way. We're going after a different pain point, but we're still offering them the same thing, a free neighborhood report. We're just now calling it a free neighborhood report, and we're making that the offer. And the pain point is all of the nonsense that goes on with the house being out of control. And you can see here this wacky little picture of an angry man with a house on the top of his head. Where in A, we're talking about sequestration and government gridlock, and and budgets tightening up, and why that's important. And again, if you go back to the sheet, the photo that or not the photo, the map that I showed you guys here, you can see, the people in this blue area here, those 383 homes, they're making $82,059 a year. A lot of them are government employees. So, they really, in split test A, they understand because they've been hit by government gridlock. They have had it dramatically affect their day-to-day lives as homeowners and, as people with families. So we're really going after the same audience differently. So we're testing that out to see where we get our responses. And I'll also say this: in the first day of getting the marketing pieces out there and hitting the homes in the Lanham Seabrook area, we did end up that first week getting 4 phone calls and 1 new qualified cash buyer. So that's a really good response rate actually for 3 hours in the field. So that's really it for it right now, guys. And again, this is all about how to market and canvas a neighborhood to generate leads for wholesale and rehab opportunities. I hope you guys learned a lot from this. I hope you guys took some great notes. And again, if you have any questions whatsoever, definitely log into the Facebook group that we've set up for you guys, and we will promptly be responding to all your questions. So that's it for now, and we look forward to seeing you guys out in the field if you're joining us in the field and on our next webinar call. So thanks a lot for watching this Jumpstart webinar, and we'll be in touch soon.